Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So some more interesting news coming out of the heavyweight division. Of course, recently we heard that Deontay Wilder won his arbitration case against Tyson Fury, and it looks like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are now fighting for a third time. That has had knock-on effects for Anthony Joshua. Of course, Anthony Joshua had his WBO mandatory situation with Oleksandr Usyk. Essentially, the WBO came to a compromise where if Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury did happen, Joe Joyce versus Oleksandr Usyk would happen in the interim for the interim WBO heavyweight title. Of course, that was under the proviso that Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury was taking place for undisputed, but now it appears that is no longer the case, and the WBO have basically gone back to their original standing of Oleksandr Usyk being the flat-out mandatory for Anthony Joshua. Today the WBO have demanded proof of a Fury versus Joshua deal. I will go into what they've said. It is hereby ordered to show cause within the next 48 hours upon issuance of this order as to why the WBO World Championship Committee shall not order the commencement of negotiations between mandatory challenger Oleksandr Usyk and WBO heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua immediately. Be advised that failure to comply with this order will constitute a waiver of all rights hereunder, and with the committee proceeding accordingly without a further summons or hearing. Please be advised that on Monday the 17th of May, the World Boxing Organisation was advised that the arbitrator presiding over Tyson Fury-Deontay Wilder rematch clause dispute rendered an award granting Deontay Wilder injunctive relief and ordering Tyson Fury to participate in a rematch on or before September the 15th, 2021. The award issued by the arbitrator is binding and enforceable between the relevant parties. Conversely, as you are aware, on January the 29th, 2021, the WBO World Championship Committee ordered the commencement of negotiations for the interim heavyweight championship contest between Usyk and Joyce to keep the division active and to seek protection and safeguard the rights and interests of Usyk and the remaining WBO heavyweight contenders, considering the potential undisputed heavyweight championship bout between Joshua and Fury. Such ruling was subject to very specific conditions, including, but not limited to, the WBO Championship. So that is what the WBO has had to say on this situation. Quite frankly, looking at that press release from the WBO, it does appear they are playing quite hardball in regards to this mandatory situation, around 2 years at this point. And in my opinion, rightly so. Bear in mind, Oleksandr Usyk has been mandatory at this point, officially, for nearly 2 years. I believe he was officially named for WBO mandatory in June 2019. I could be wrong about that, but he's been officially mandatory for a long time now. And ultimately, he's waited for his shot, and in my opinion, he deserves it. If undisputed is not happening, Oleksandr Usyk is the next best available challenge for Anthony Joshua, and it would make for a great fight. So I'm actually quite welcoming of this news, just because I love that fight between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. I think it's a really intriguing fight, and a fight that, in my opinion, is a real good consolation prize to undisputed. I really like the idea of Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk. It's a great fight, and if the WBO have their way, that is going to be the next fight for Anthony Joshua. Ultimately, they've asked for proof of the Tyson Fury deal, and they've set a 48-hour deadline. Ultimately, what I'm assuming that means is, if they can provide proof that the deal is still on, they will hold fire. However, if Eddie Hearn says that the fight is off, or he can't provide proof that the fight is still on, at that point in time, I'm assuming that the WBO will actually order this fight and basically go from there. But I wonder what would happen if Hearn just doesn't respond to this request by the WBO. Will they strip Anthony Joshua or just order the fight between Joshua and Usyk? It's going to be very interesting to see how this situation plays out. I'm hoping that Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua actually take this fight. Like I said earlier, I think it's a great fight. I think it's a legacy fight for both fighters. Ultimately, if Oleksandr Usyk could get Anthony Joshua on his resume, that's a great look, and vice versa. If Joshua could beat Usyk, that's a great name on his resume. So I do see this fight as a significant legacy fight for both fighters, quite frankly. And yeah, like I said earlier, hopefully Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua actually decide to defend their WBO title and take on the mandatory in Oleksandr Usyk. I can't lie though, what has filled me with a little bit of doubt, once we heard the news about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fighting for a third time, or potentially fighting a third time, when Eddie Hearn was asked about that and asked about Joshua's backup plans basically, he mentioned that Oleksandr Usyk was a possibility, but that there are other options. So I'm hoping that Joshua doesn't vacate and fight somebody else. To be honest, I'd rather see Joshua fight Oleksandr Usyk. What other options out there right now are as interesting as an Oleksandr Usyk fight? Maybe Eddie Hearn's going to try and do the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. Maybe he'll go down that route and vacate the WBO. But if that does happen, I'm not really going to be a happy camper, to tell you the truth. Dillian Whyte's a good fighter. He's a genuine top 10 heavyweight. But to me, that fight doesn't hold the same intrigue as Joshua versus Usyk. So I'm hoping that Joshua and Hearn decide to pursue this WBO route. Like I said earlier, it's a great fight, it's a legacy fight, it's a fight that would make fight fans extremely excited and intrigued, and yeah, all in all, I'm all on board with this fight. It's a fight I've wanted to see for a long time, and to be quite honest, a little part of me is just as intrigued with this fight as I am with Fury and Joshua, so I'd love to see this fight. Hopefully it happens. The WBO are going to do their utmost to make it happen. So, providing Fury and Wilder actually happens next, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Team Matchroom, Team Joshua, to accept this fight and defend against his mandatory challenger. And we'll see what happens with that. Me personally, I think if it's down to Joshua, I actually believe he would take this fight, to be honest. One thing about Joshua, I'm not his biggest fan out of the ring, but as a fighter, he is reliable, he is consistent, and he has fought good competition, so if it's down to Joshua, I'm pretty certain he takes this fight. But you know, there are many other individuals involved that will obviously look out for their golden goose. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, share your thoughts below. What do you make of this press release by the WBO? Do you believe they're serious? And if they do order this fight, let's say Fury and Wilder 3 does happen, if the WBO order this fight, does Joshua take it or does he vacate? I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts. But anyway, smash the like, hit subscribe if you enjoyed it as well, of course. And lastly, if you guys go on my community tab on my channel, you can actually find the link to my second channel where we discuss non-boxing topics, put it that way. So if you're interested in some alternative content, check it out, see if it's for you or not. And yeah, but anyway, cheers guys, been your guy Delboy, peace.